Imagine waking up in the capital of the United States, Washington, D.C., only to discover that your neighbor, who isn't even a U.S. citizen, just voted for your city's mayor. Now, picture a city where crime is so rampant that even the National Guard is called in, and the statistics you see on the news might be manipulated to make things look better than they really are. This isn't a dystopian novel. This is the real story of what's happening in Washington, D.C. right now. A city at the center of a national debate about crime, democracy, and who really runs America's capital. Recently, Washington, D.C. has been making headlines for all the wrong reasons. Crime rates have soared, police staffing is at a historic low, and the city council has passed controversial laws that have left many residents and observers stunned. In the midst of this, a new law allowed non-citizens to vote in local elections, and even potentially run for office. As crime spiraled out of control, some city leaders called for military intervention, and the president invoked rarely used powers to take direct control of the city's police force. Meanwhile, allegations surfaced that crime statistics were being manipulated to hide the true extent of the crisis. The headline that shocked the nation was that non-citizens can now vote in Washington, D.C.'s local elections. In 2022, the D.C. Council passed a law allowing legal permanent residents, DACA recipients, and even undocumented immigrants to vote in local elections, like those for mayor, city council, and school board. This law does not allow non-citizens to vote in federal elections, such as for president or Congress, but it goes even further. The law does not explicitly bar non-citizens from running for local office. In theory, a non-citizen could become mayor or a city council member, though this has not happened yet. This is almost unheard of in the United States. Adding fuel to the fire, the D.C. Council passed a sweeping overhaul of the city's criminal code. The new law would have reduced maximum penalties for several serious crimes, including some forms of homicide, armed robbery, and carjacking. The stated goal was to modernize outdated laws and make sentencing more consistent, but the backlash was immediate and bipartisan. Even President Biden and Congress, both controlled by Democrats at the time, stepped in to block the law, arguing it was too lenient at a time when crime was already out of control. The law never went into effect, but the episode left many residents feeling that their leaders were out of touch with the realities on the ground. As the crisis deepened, a new controversy erupted. Allegations that D.C. police officials were manipulating crime statistics to make the situation look better than it really was. In May 2024, a police commander was suspended amid accusations of reclassifying serious crimes to less severe categories, effectively hiding them from official reports. The D.C. Police Union claimed this was not an isolated incident, but part of a broader effort to downplay the city's crime problem. While the full extent of the manipulation is still under investigation, the incident has fueled public distrust and made it even harder to know what's really happening on D.C.'s streets. All of this set the stage for an extraordinary move. The President of the United States invoked Section 740 of the D.C. Home Rule Act, taking direct control of the city's police department. This is something that can only happen in Washington, D.C., because it is not a state, but a federal district. Under the Constitution, Congress, and by extension, the President, has ultimate authority over the city. This means that, unlike in any other American city, the President can override local officials and deploy federal resources, including the NADI. The crisis in D.C. has become a political football, with both parties blaming each other for the city's problems. Critics of the city's Democratic leadership argue that policies like non-citizen voting, reduced police funding, and lenient sentencing have created a perfect storm for crime. Supporters counter that the root causes are complex, including poverty, inequality, and the unique challenges of governing a federal district. The intervention by the president, whether you see it as necessary or as an overreach, has only heightened the stakes. Some see it as a model for how to address urban crime elsewhere. Others fear it could be used to justify federal takeovers in other cities. Washington, D.C. is more than just a city. It's the seat of American government, a symbol of democracy, and a test case for some of the nation's most contentious debates. The issues playing out in D.C., who gets to vote, how we fight crime, and who holds power, are being watched closely across the country. The story of D.C. right now is a warning and a lesson. It shows what can happen when trust in government breaks down, when leaders fail to respond to real problems, and when the lines between local and federal authority become blurred. It also raises fundamental questions about what it means to be a citizen, who gets to participate in democracy, and how we keep our communities safe. So, where do we go from here? The challenges facing Washington, D.C. are not unique, but they are magnified by the city's special status and its role as the nation's capital. As Americans, we need to pay attention, not just to the headlines, but to the facts, the laws, and the lived experiences of the people who call D.C. home. If you care about democracy, public safety, and the future of our cities, this is a story you can't afford to ignore. Let's demand accountability, transparency, and real solutions, not just in D.C., but everywhere.